What's up everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Whack4863, but you can call me Whack. In today's video, I'm going to give you 10 tips to playing the Infected, and this may be helpful for you whether you're starting out or if you've been playing for a while. Now, if you're new here, I'd encourage you to click that subscribe button, click that bell so you get notified when I upload another video. Tip number 10 may be the most important for me to get out to you, so I'm going to put this one in number 10, and that is to save your game. The Infected has no autosave feature, so it does not autosave the game at all. So either as you're going along, save it on a regular basis in case you have a crash, but definitely make sure you are saving your game when you log out, because it would really suck to have your whole gaming session flushed down the toilet because you either forgot to save or didn't know that you had to save, because most games nowadays do have an autosave feature. Tip number 9 is to turn the foliage setting down. There are a lot of resources that are very hard to see with the foliage setting above low, really. So my suggestion is at least early game, turn the foliage setting way down. That way you can see what these different resources look like. I spent a lot of time during my live stream running past things and not even realizing that it was something that was harvestable and would have really helped me out early game. So my suggestion, turn that all the way down, get used to what things look like, where they spawn, and then if you want to turn the foliage setting back up to have a more immersive gameplay, at least at that point you know what to be looking for. Tip number 8 has to do with some of the shortcuts and some of the keybinds that are not listed in the option menus. Number 1 is going to be the toggle your HUD on and off. So if you want to display your stamina and your health, you just need to press the G button on your keyboard, and that's going to toggle that on and off. Additionally, some of the things for moving different items in your inventory are not listed in the settings menu. So if you use the Alt key and right click, you'll move an entire stack out of a box into your inventory. However, if you use that to move it into a box or a storage crate, it's going to move one item at a time. Additionally, if you're moving things onto the crafting bench, it'll move things one at a time out of your inventory onto the crafting bench. You can also use left shift and click and drag, and that will allow you to place a certain number of items into a box or onto the crafting table. So left shift and left alt, both of those things are going to do a little bit different function. When you're using the left alt button, you have to use the right mouse button. When you're using the left shift button, you have to use the left mouse button. Tip number 7 is about proteins, and proteins can be pretty difficult to come across, or at least time consuming early game, because you have a spear and you're throwing that spear at different animals trying to kill them. Here's the thing, at every single one of the mining sites there's actually water, and in that water there will be fish. Now I highly recommend doing this at around noon when it's brightest. Don't do it during a storm, don't do it at night. You won't be able to see the fish. It is a very murky water. However, you can swim under the water and spear the fish with your spear. Each one of the fish has a little bit different amount of fillets that it gives you. So a bluegill is going to give you 1 fillet, a trout is going to give you 2, and a tuna is going to give you 3 fillets. Now this is a very easy way to get your proteins early game. However, if you really want to hunt down your meat, the best thing you can go after is the deer. The deer is going to give you 4 steaks, followed by the sheep, which is going to give you 2 steaks. The bear will give you 2 steaks. The boar will give you 2 steaks. The wolf will give you 1 steak, the fox will give you 1 steak, and the birds give you absolutely no meat. They only give you feathers. Something else to keep in mind is that animals have what I would consider bleed out. So as long as you're not using melee, you are using ranged. So whether you're throwing a spear or shooting an animal with an arrow, it has a bleed out timer. So all you need to do is hit it 1 time and then follow along and wait for it to collapse. And I highly recommend doing this and not wasting ammo. So unless you're a really good shot, just get it that 1 time and then wait for it to bleed out, because it doesn't take that long. Tip number 5 is all about how to get water when it freezes. Now, at some point in time, your game is going to get extremely cold. You're going to be in the dead of winter. All the water sources are going to freeze. And unless you are set up with a pump house and you're getting fresh water out of a sink, you are going to be in a position where you still need to gather water. And basically, you do this by gathering snow. In a way, it almost makes it easier, especially if you're someone like me that placed their greenhouse directly on the ground. I was able to just pick the snow up right off the ground in my greenhouse and water my plants, and the same goes for when you're boiling it to make it clean water. And I put this in there because it took me a little while to figure out that I could collect the snow. I thought maybe I had to break through the ice in order to get to the water and do it that way, but that wasn't the case. You simply collect the snow from the ground, which I guess makes sense in hindsight. Tip number 4 is all about the mining sites. Now, there are 14 different mining sites across the map, and they will give you different resources. The resources that you can currently get from these mining sites are aluminum, cobalt, and copper. Now, in order to figure out which one you're going to get once you get your mining operation set up, you simply need to break one of the rocks that's in the dirt area, and that's going to drop one of those resources. Copper drops alongside a lot of stones, so it's really easy to miss the fact that you picked up copper if you're not paying attention. However, cobalt and aluminum will drop by themselves. They do not drop with other stones. And I'm not going to include it in this video because I feel like it would kind of be a spoiler and some people may not want it, but I do have a map that tells you what each mining site is going to give you for resources. So if you're interested in that, it's linked in the description below. You can pull that up, download it, and see what each mining site actually has. And maybe that saves you a little bit of time. Maybe you want to explore it yourself. That's why it's linked in the description of the video and not in the video. Tip number 3 has to do with the log cart. First of all, as soon as you can make this log cart, make it and start using it. But there's actually a trick you can use with the minecart that's going to save you a little bit of time and a little bit of headache. Basically, any direction that you want to head with the minecart, you should go to the opposite side of the minecart, face the direction that you want to go, and then interact with the minecart. That's going to instantly turn it around and you could start heading in that direction. Whereas if you go up to the handles and you interact with it there, you may have to turn it around before you can head off in the direction that you want. So basically just line yourself up with the minecart in between wherever you want to go, interact with it there, and it'll end up turning the minecart that direction immediately, and you can head off on your merry way. Now this is going to save you a little bit of time each time, and that's going to accumulate to quite a bit of time over an entire playthrough. Tip number 2 has to do with the combat system. Now, the combat system is something that is currently under development. It is being worked on by the development team. However, right now, headshots are king. So as long as you can headshot the Vambies or anything else in the world, really, you are going to be winning the engagement. The one difference is going to be if you're going up against alligators, headshots don't seem to one-shot. You're going to need multiple arrows to take out the alligators, but everything else you can headshot and kill with a single arrow or a single throw of your spear. And my number 1 tip is going to be about iron. This is going to really help you out late game. You want to always be producing iron. So iron is not something that's mineable at any of the mining sites. So when you get later on in game and you have the extractors, they're not going to produce iron for you. So iron is very player intensive, it's time intensive, so always be smelting your rocks into iron fragments and then into iron bars, because that's where the bottleneck's going to be late game, is the iron that you've produced. And the game requires a lot of iron. A lot of the later game construction things do require a ton of iron. And that's my top 10 list for things that I think will benefit you throughout your play of the Infected. Now, if I missed something that you found that was very, very important or very helpful, go ahead and leave a comment down below, help out your fellow players so that they can benefit from your tip as well. And that's all I have for this video, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. You can click one of the other videos coming up on the screen to watch next. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. I'll catch you next time. Peace. The whack moments in this video were sponsored by my legendary supporters. Thank you very much. If you'd like to sponsor a future whack moment, you can click the button below that says join. That'll give you all the details. I'd like to thank all my subscribers for their continued support, likes, comments, and general awesomeness. If you're not subscribed, you can start your free trial today and cancel at any time. And if you're not finished watching, there's 2 videos to pick from.